So, let's talk about Team Coffee. Coco Adele, Fox Alistair, Velvet Scarlatina, and Yatsuhashi Daichi, the second-year team that slaughtered all the Grimm to the thunderous applause of thousands of fanboys in desperate need of a clue. But what is the purpose of Team Coffee? How did they get so popular? Well, let's take this in chronological order. It all started in Volume 1 with the creation of Velvet Scarlatina. Velvet made her first appearance in the episode titled Jaundice, which has gone down as the worst episode in the show. The people who say it's the worst aren't correct in my opinion, but they aren't exactly wrong either. There's a few things to like about this episode, but there is a lot to hate. We see Velvet getting bullied by generic high school drama antagonist model number 869235. Codename? Cardin Winchester. Later in that same episode, she raises her hand when Oobleck asks if there's anyone in the class who have been marginalized for being a faunus. And that's it. Velvet is never mentioned again in the volume. In fact, unless you look up the credits, you wouldn't even know her name, let alone that she's a play on the Velveteen Rabbit, which is fitting because Katie Ward has the acting range of a children's toy. But, leading into Volume 2, something happened. For some ungodly reason, people actually liked the character. They wanted more of Bernie Raffer. So the writers, in their infinite wisdom, decided to give her a team, a weapon, and an outfit. Only they couldn't actually be bothered to do any of these things because her weapon's dumb, her team sucks, and her outfit is the product of a fan contest, which just got the driveling Velvet fanboys more invested in seeing her in action. Then Volume 2 kicked off and Team Coffee made their debut in a few frames of the opening credits. They were mentioned in the episode Extracurricular. Weiss says that they're out on a mission that's taking them longer to complete than expected, so Weiss and Yang took over their role as party planners. What is this mission? What could possibly keep this team away for so long? It doesn't matter because this was just an excuse to give the animators more time to finish their models. They do debut a few episodes later. Velvet even gets a few lines, and nice to say, Katie Ward upgraded from a stuffed doll to a wooden one. Truly a paragon of charisma, this one. Oh, and as I said, the entire coffee mission subplot that was introduced as the pseudo-mystery or critical moment means about as much as their contribution to the plot. That is to say, fucking all. And then they aren't mentioned again until the finale. In case you don't remember, or for some reason think that Volume 2's ending wasn't a complete pile of horseshit, allow me to summarize. Team RWBY kill a bunch of disenfranchised youth, who we know from earlier in the volume are new recruits, and they do so with smiles on their faces. Blake beats Torchwick without even breaking a sweat, which makes Blake and Yang look like absolute morons for being worried.
I don't understand. I'm the only one who can do this. No, you don't understand. If Roman Torchwick walked through that door, what would you do? I'd fight him. You'd lose. I can stop him. You can't even stop me.
And raises questions on why Torchwick eluded capture for so long, another plot point that is never even hinted at being explained. So instead of derailing the train or sticking together and mopping up everyone, Team RWBY does the cunning strategy of splitting up and taking everyone on one-on-one.
No, not cunning. What's the opposite of that?
Retarded!
That's it, thank you!
And so the bombs go off. Grimm get into the city, and before everyone gets hurt, these assholes come in and damn near ruin the entire frickin' show. I could go on and on about how the breach is absolutely pointless and it makes all of Volume 2 filler, but this isn't about how it was Ozpin students that put in most of the work, so Ironwood being put in charge of security makes no sense. This isn't about how Ironwood being in charge of security is an underwhelming plot point. This isn't about how the big conflict the volume has been building towards is resolved in less than half the episode, and the other half is setting up for Volume 3, with some of the stuff being rendered non-canon, so what was the point? This is about Team Coffee. Fox and Yatsuhashi don't even get any lines. Velvet gets ready to fight, and Coco tells her to stand down. And then Coco kills everything in a few seconds. I hate non-reveals. This is the only piece of setup we ever get about Velvet's weapon before it gets revealed, to the disappointment of any viewer with any sense. And that's really the gist of it. At its worst, RWBY doesn't do anything to build up or pay off. They just act like they do. they'll have a throwaway line, then Miles will go on Twitter, and the fandom will go nuts, and hacks on YouTube will make long-winded theories about it. You guys realize that we're the problem here. Okay, I actually do like the fight scene in Volume 3, mostly because after Coffee took away any stakes the show could have had and rendered any threat of the Grim into being as threatening as a brisk rain. It is so satisfying to watch the worst part of the show get their asses handed to them by legitimately interesting characters. And then there's Velvet and her weapon. We see her using the camera a few times late in the volume. Then its function is revealed, and can I just say, screw you. Screw everyone that had anything to do with the scene. Screw the artists, screw the writers, screw the animators. It would be one thing if she just copied people's weapons. That could be cool. It could even work if she copied their movesets. They could even go into some deep character stuff with that. All semblances are supposed to reflect something in somebody's soul, something that is fundamental to their very being, so someone who doesn't have a single original attack, yeah, you could do a lot of confidence themes with that. But they don't just do that. They copy the camera angles, they copy the transitions, they do the copycat fighter in the absolute laziest way possible. You mean to tell me that DBZ can't get away with repetitive physical narrative, but this blatant, self-aggrandizing insult to all things creative gets heralded? 10 out of 10. Scene of the year all years. Who cares that all Velvet did was stop Tube Max before getting slapped and saved by Weiss to conclude an arc that actually had some pathos? But no! Everybody has to defend their precious bunny waifu, while Weiss gets the shaft. And Weiss isn't the only one. Did you know Team Sun was conceived before Juniper? Yeah, they were going to be the typical foreign exchange student team. But because the fans drooled over Lola Rabbit over here, Team Sun got shafted and their part in Volume 2 and 3 got diminished so that the animators could finish the coffee scenes. How much better would it have been if it was Team Sun at the end of Volume 2? Yeah, reducing the Grim to a non-threat would still suck, Magnum Dong, but it would have at least made the transition of Sun's role a little better executed. Am I missing something? Yatsuhashi and Fox might as well be cardboard cutouts. Coco is that girl you couldn't stand in high school, and Velvet does nothing but make the show worse with their very existence. As I opined in my superfluous character bit, my biggest compliment for Volume 4 is that they cut a lot of fat out of the show, and the biggest piece of fat they cut was Team Coffee, who aren't even mentioned in the volume. Is it any wonder that despite Volume 3 being more narratively satisfying, I put Volume 4 above it? If you like Team Coffee, whatever. I don't care. I don't understand how anyone can think they're good for the show, but I don't care to understand either. They aren't important. They were never important. And now that Velvet's weapon is revealed, there is literally no reason to care anymore. I'm Mediocrity4. Now excuse me while I start on a video of something I like.